everyone, welcome. I'm Robert, and this is a quick solo impressions of Naturopolis, a standalone Sprawlopolis game. And just to give you some background, I have played Sprawlopolis in the past. It's one of my favorite buttonshy games. I did not play Agropolis, which is the sequel to Sprawlopolis, and the reason for that is the aesthetic of Agropolis and the theme didn't appeal to me, so I skipped it. Just so you know, I did back this. I did back the crowdfunding campaign for this. So I've been playing it a bunch this past week. I've played it 8 times. So here are my thoughts. So first, I want to mention that this has become my new favorite buttonshy title. All right, and Sprawlopolis was already at the top, but this has surpassed it. So I want to mention why I think this, why I prefer this over Sprawlopolis. Number one, the aesthetic. I really like this very soothing aesthetic, very nature theme versus the city theme, which I love the city theme, don't get me wrong, but the color palette here and the aesthetic, it just looks gorgeous on a table. I really like it. Okay, that's one. Second, the scoring conditions. The scoring conditions in Naturopolis, this being the third title in the series, I feel that the designers have learned a ton. Okay, one thing that I always warned people about with Sprawlopolis is that I feel that the scoring with Sprawlopolis sometimes could be a bit brutal. Okay, and you really have to think very carefully how you place the tiles. You can't really play too relaxed and because some of those scoring conditions, like they really they'll really test your chops. Okay, now in Naturopolis, the scoring conditions, in my experience, I'm not gonna say that they were easy necessarily, but they just felt a bit more elegant and a bit more fair. All right, now that could also be a combination of other things. So for example, in Naturopolis there's less roads. Okay, in Sprawlopolis there's tons of roads which remove points from the scoring. All right, and it's something that you have to really puzzle with to try to minimize the amount of roads and place the map efficiently to prevent excessive roads, which really detract from your score at the end. So here there's not as many roads that you have to deal with, and they've added these rivers, okay, which some scoring conditions use them, but if you don't draw a scoring condition that doesn't use rivers, they don't really affect anything other than you're not allowed to connect. You're not allowed to end a road on a river like that. Okay, you're not allowed to connect them like you see there. So it does affect that, but when I played this, it just felt a bit more liberating. Okay. So it is a bit more relaxed, which I was really hoping for, just from the nature theme. I didn't really even look at the gameplay prior. I was hoping that they would make it a bit more relaxed so that I didn't really have to rack my head too as much as I have to with Sprawlopolis. So this is a bit more relaxed, but the puzzle is still great. It's still brain burning, and it really shows, this being the third title in the series, that the designers have learned. The scoring conditions that I have experienced, the combination so far, just they feel a bit more fair. And sometimes when I drew certain scoring conditions in Sprawlopolis, it felt like an extreme challenge. But here, every combination I've drawn, it's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And even then, it rewards repeated play. You do get better at it, your scoring will improve, and my average score from the beginning much higher than in Sprawlopolis. So I feel more rewarded. It doesn't feel as brutal. It looks better on a table, and not just the aesthetic, also the way that the cards are laid out and the typography. I just want to show you a comparison here. It's subtle, but you have the card from Naturopolis here, and then you have the Sprawlopolis card here, and look at how much bigger the text is. It's kind of more in your face, and you know, the information's there, but here it's just a bit more subtle. I like the use of the layout and the typography on these cards is just better. I just prefer looking at this scoring conditions versus the Sprawlopolis one. I went back and forth between Naturopolis and Sprawlopolis, and like when I saw this after playing Naturopolis a few times and then coming back to this to compare, it's like, oh wow, just looking at the text, already an improvement. How just the way that they lay out the text. It's a subtle, it's a small thing, but just as a visual person myself, I appreciate the better design in that regard. Okay, so there's also another thing that they added here to keep the formula fresh, and it's the cams, which many scoring conditions will dictate how these cams are located on your cards and your blocks. But to me, I'm really gonna have a hard time going back to Sprawlopolis unless I'm really craving the city building theme. But this is my new like Sprawlopolis prior to this was tied with other titles like Food Chain Island or Schools of Sedlec. But this right here, moving forward until I try another buttonshy game and it trumps this, but now this is my #1 buttonshy game. I want to just keep playing it after I stop recording this. I've been playing it all week. Most of my gaming this week has been just playing Naturopolis. I haven't even tried the expansions, but this just looks gorgeous. It plays so much better. And one comparison, I was thinking while coming up with what I was gonna say for this review. If you've played XCOM, it's weird. I'm sorry, weird comparison. But if you've played XCOM 2012, and then you play XCOM 2 that came out later, it's kind of hard to come back to the first XCOM with the amount of improvements that they made in the second title. I feel even though it's the same formula, this just feels like such an improvement. Like I just prefer playing this like by a long mile, even though it's the same formula basically, just rethemed. But you know, they do add a couple things to keep the formula fresh, and it's just great. It's a feat just for how simple the game, the concept of the game is, and the rules. An already great game that Sprawlopolis is, what they did here to improve it is just spectacular. So kudos to the designers. I'm interested to see what else they'll come up with to keep the formula fresh if they have any plans. But my new favorite buttonshy title, highly recommended, and moving forward, this will be my #1 recommendation for anyone who wants to try a buttonshy game, no doubt. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this informative. And if you have any questions, comments, and feedback, please share them in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.